Hey guys, welcome to my studio. My name is John Sine. I'm a DJ, producer, and daily vlogger. Today on my channel, another special episode of EDM Legends, where we interview huge superstars of the EDM scene. So far I did interviews with Laidback Luke, with Taka Disco, there's one coming up with Kirby, another one with Kungs and Hugel, and today special guest DENIZ KOYU. We went to his beautiful, amazing studio in Essen and spent a couple of hours with him talking about DJing, producing, tips and tricks along the way, and him actually talking about the very beginning of his DJ career and how he actually made it. So welcome guys to EDM Legends. Right next to me, a real EDM legend, already making music for 10 years, roundabout?
Yeah, roundabout. I started more than 15 years ago, but professionally I would say I'm doing this for 10 years now.
It's amazing. I mean, you can see the studio. That's what you get when you work for 10 years really hard.
Yeah.
Let's maybe start with the newest thing that happened in your career. I would say the DJ Mag entry top 100 is something big.
Definitely, yeah. That was a great surprise. I wasn't sure if I would make it this year. I actually didn't really think I would, but then I did. And it was a great surprise and I'm really happy about it.
Did someone call you and tell you up front that you're in it? Or is it like you just get to know it when everyone else?
You kind of get a feeling that you made it around 2 weeks or maybe 10 days before, because DJ Mag reaches out to you because they need your press material to, you know, because for the post and for the list. So when they ask for your press material, then you get an idea. I guess something is happening here.
That's really nice to see, because I'm already following your career for a long time, like almost like quite from the beginning, where you did your first releases and you released on Axwell's label.
Yeah.
And kind of this way got into this entire scene. Right now you're mostly releasing on Nicky Romero's label, or is it like switching?
Yeah, I'm switching it up all the time. Basically, I want to try to always find the right home for each song. So I never signed a fixed contract with any label. I like to be flexible and you know, try to listen to a song in the end when it's finished and try to picture what's the best home for it. So I also released stuff on Spin-In recently. Let's
really quick just get back to the DJ Mag Top 100, because there's always a lot of controversy about it. And it would be nice to know what someone that is actually on that list thinks about it, because everyone complains every year about some people entering it, some people not entering it. What's your view on that?
It's really difficult, honestly. I think when I look at the list, I definitely think there are so many other people, other guys that would have deserved to be on that list too. And then I'm on 78, but it's very hard to understand, or even for me, I don't really understand fully like on what basis people vote, or I think everyone has a different understanding and different reasons why they vote for their favorite DJ. So it could be because that guy made a song that people love, and then they think, you know, there's somebody sitting there and says, oh, I love this guy's song, and I'm gonna add him to my list. Or other people, they went to a show and it was an amazing show, and they think, wow, this guy's an amazing DJ, and I'm gonna put him on my top 5. And there can be other reasons too, other than those. And I think everyone has a different understanding. And maybe one thing that DJ Mag is lacking, from my point of view, is to communicate better what they think from their point of view is what people should vote for. So to, you know, make it more clear maybe, or try to make it more clear, try to communicate to people what it is that they should actually vote for. They don't really define it in any way.
No, so it's already, I mean, it was always a DJ list, and like if you look back onto that list 10 years ago, there was like Cox on top, like people that are DJs.
Yes, yeah.
Now it's all producers. Or people that are mainly producers.
Yeah, mostly, yeah. And then also you can definitely, for example, see one tendency is that US guys have a hard time to make it into that list. There are so many big US DJs that are not even in the list or very low. And that's also not fair at all. From my point of view, what's really important is to know that I'm 78, right? So, but I would never say that means that I'm better than everyone under 78. You know, I would never think anything like that. You know, it's a cool look, and I'm happy about it, of course. But it doesn't make me feel better than anybody else that's lower on the list, and I just take it as it is, and I don't try to overthink it anyways.
You shouldn't. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
It's, I think, a huge accomplishment, especially because, like, I'd say you're like this one generation that is younger than like the Swedish House Mafia guys that you probably looked up to when you started.
I still do. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah,
and now you're in there. This has to be like the greatest feeling ever.
Yeah.
And you also accomplish other things that I think that show even more where you're at than just this list. I'd say, like, you play Tomorrowland.
Yeah. Yeah.
How is that, like, being on that huge stage?
Very hard to describe. One thing I can say, which maybe what's gonna surprise you, is when you watch the streams and the videos of Tomorrowland and just look at it at the stage in the festival, it appears much bigger than when you're actually in that booth. Yeah, once you're in that booth, because even when you're a DJ and you've never played that stage before, you're gonna be very nervous because of you know, the images that you have in your head. But then once you're in that booth, it's actually much more compact than you would imagine it when looking at all the videos. Okay. So but
it's still among the biggest you've
Oh yeah, of course. I just mean from like look, yes. Just the visual impression when you're in the booth. It's not as intimidating as you would think, just, you know, from the angle that you get. So and then once I got there on stage, I was, you know, before I went on stage, I was super nervous. But then once I got into that booth, and then you know, I realized the vibe was great. People were really into it, and then okay, cool, I can do this, and then it was great.
Because usually, at least when I DJ, the second I play my first song, I'm not nervous anymore at all, because then you're into it and just focus on
Sometimes it takes 2 songs, but yeah.
Did you prepare anything special for that gig, for that moment? Is it like a list of songs that you already know you're gonna play? Is it like very fixed? Or
the thing is,
how spontaneous is it?
Yeah, so for big festival shows, it's not just Tomorrowland. I also played Ultra and some EDC shows in Creamfields and stuff. So for every big festival set, I definitely prepare my set because first of all, you only have 1 hour. And in that 1 hour, you want to make sure that you're playing all the songs that you really want to play. And it starts with your own productions, of course, and then maybe some remixes, some bootlegs, mashups, and edits and stuff. You know, it's just like, 1 hour is not much at all. No. So you have limited options of how you can arrange your track list. You know, you can't just jump around from any point to any point and still have a great flow in your set. So that's why you have to prepare. What I do is, I always have my intro, of course, and then the first like 4 or 5 tracks are definitely fixed. I know this is what I'm going to start with, and I always know how I'm going to end my set. This is fixed, and I would very rarely change anything in those sections. And then I also have a middle section that I have prepared, and I think I will probably go for it like this. But then when you're actually on stage and you're playing for the crowd, then a lot of times you're changing it up on the go, because you realize it can be different reasons why. Maybe it's a different type of crowd, different type of energy that you...
Or maybe the DJ before you played something entirely different.
Sometimes he played a couple of songs that you have in your track list and that are big songs, and then it's just lame to play them again. So then you change it up for that reason. Or sometimes it can be, I don't know, you prepared a more mainstream set, but then you realize the crowd is not that mainstream, and you should play some more cool stuff, and then you change it up. So definitely it's good to be prepared, I think, for big shows like this, so that you are not too nervous, and you know, you are prepared, and it's just better for your mindset. But in the end, once you're there on stage, you usually change it up and go with the flow. And
I mean, you got enough experience to just DJ without the preparation, probably.
Yeah,
if it's like if it's a show where you're the headliner and you got like 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours.
Yeah,
it's way more spontaneous, probably.
Of course, especially for club shows. But for those big festival shows, you also got to keep in mind that they are usually recorded, and you know, people watch those Tomorrowland sets long time after it's done, and you want to make sure that you really have the best presentation there, and a very representative set that you played, you know, that people can listen to for a long time, and it's different than just a club set.
And are you playing mostly like festivals, mostly clubs, or is it like really a mixture? Is there anything in particular you're looking out when you get the booking requests, that you have a mixture in between of both?
Yeah, I honestly love both. I love festival sets, but also love small, intimate club shows as well as big club shows. So I don't have a preference there really. All I want to make sure is that it's a crowd that is hopefully attending the place for the music, yes, and not for, you know, just to be there. So and it's of course great to play for real fans rather than just like a random crowd.
The vibe is probably better because we were now this weekend at the World Cup Music Dome.
Okay, yeah.
There was like Black Eyed Peas in between.
Oh, okay.
It didn't really work.
But, yeah, I can imagine.
You also told me, like off camera, that you're touring right now a lot in China.
Yes, yeah.
What is it like to play in front of a Chinese crowd?
It's honestly amazing. I played a couple of club shows just actually 2 weeks ago, and I can tell from those experiences they were really amazing because it's very high energy. And I can tell that for the Chinese people, everything there is still kind of fresh. It's because it's the whole EDM scene arrived a bit later there, and it's still fresh for them. But not just for that reason. It's also just the energy that they just bring is really amazing and high, and they just really listen to. They know the songs also. Okay, that's something I didn't always expect. But they do know the songs, and they really appreciate it when you play their favorite songs, and you get a lot of feedback from them, and it's a lot of fun, really. Yeah. You
also said you used to DJ in China years ago, and that there was like a difference between like 5 years ago.
Yeah, like, totally. Because I remember first time I played in China, it was in Beijing, a festival show outdoor, and that was 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah. And that was a bit of a strange experience for me because at that time it was a pretty packed place, but yeah, the people, they were just standing there and not really, because they seemed confused. Not because I didn't feel like they didn't like the music, but they just seemed confused a bit. And,
they don't know what to do at a festival, EDM festival.
Exactly. Then you could tell they were like jumping, but really not in rhythm. You know, when it was a 128 BPM song, they were more like jumping like 140 BPM, and it looked a bit strange.
So maybe you have to adjust to the crowd and just like speed it up.
Yeah, I was trying, but then it was a bit weird.
What do you do in these occasions that probably now are getting more rare, where you don't feel the crowd doesn't feel you, you don't know what to play, you maybe got booked to the wrong place where you shouldn't actually play? Yeah. Is there something that you can give as a tip what to do?
Yeah, I mean, it happens rarely, but it happens, of course. And then it depends how bad it is, you know. Sometimes it's not so as bad that you can't make adjustments in your set and fix it. Yeah. What does happen a little bit more often is that maybe you end up at a club where it's just a different type of crowd that is not into the stuff that you usually play. Yeah. And it's good to have you know, a wide range of genres on your USB sticks and be able to play a wide range of genres, and you know, be ready for that, and then if you're in that situation, be able to adjust. I think that's important as a DJ, and that's a big skill. But sometimes, very rarely, but it happens too, that there's just no way to fix anything, you know, and then it's just like, okay, drink a couple of beers and
just go with whatever you like.
Get it done with, and exactly.
Because at least then you can play only what you want to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter anymore.
In that case, if that ever happens, then I would just play whatever I enjoy. If I feel like, okay,
testing new tracks on a big sound system.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's get maybe to the music production, because you're obviously doing both. I mean, this room is just so cool. How did you start? When did you start? What kind of music did you start with?
I started when I was around 15 years old. And I got into music production through, it was actually a funny story, through a friend who was a bit older than me. And he had a web design agency in Frankfurt, here in Germany. And one of their clients was, you know, maybe the clothing brand Theo Warmland. It's a retail store. And they had a website, and they needed like small little lounge, like house lounge music clips, like 30 seconds clips for their website. And at that time, I just for fun, I had this program Reason. Propeller Head's Reason, And I had no idea what I was doing there. I just had it on my computer and I was just playing around with it and absolutely no idea what I was doing. But my friend came up to me and he said, you know, then it's these guys that need these clips, like very simple house beats.
Yes.
And before I start going out and asking other people, if you want to have a shot at it, just try and see. I'll send it to them, and if they like it, they like it, and if not, you know, I'll ask somebody else. And yeah, I created those clips, and then they actually liked it a lot. And I was just 15 years old, and I think they paid me like 400 euros for just a, you know, 30 seconds.
That's a good motivation.
Yeah, for being 15 years old, right? You're like, okay, this is cool. I like this. So then from there, I just got more and more into Reason. And then for the first 2-3 years, I was experimenting a lot in there and just a lot of trial and error. At the time, there were no YouTube tutorials and not even a lot of magazines or anything.
I think just Future Music Mag was like the only source almost.
Exactly, yeah, but that was it, and you couldn't really learn that much from those magazines. So mostly it was just trial and error. And then I continued and switched to Cubase after that. And then it was just like really slow steps and a lot of struggling around. And I had to I had a hard time to make my first contacts really and network in the beginning, because I'm from a small city here in West Germany. And when you're in a small town, it's very hard the initial steps are really hard.
Yeah.
So
just getting to a club.
Yeah, exactly. We just had this one local club in our town, and I used to go there every weekend with my friends. And there was a DJ, a local DJ, who was playing there every Saturday night, and he had a record label. And when I was 18, I made a song that was kind of inspired by Eric Pritz's Call on Me.
Yeah.
So I took an 80s sample and you know, made it a house song like that. And I gave it to him on a CD, to that local DJ guy, and he listened to it and he really liked it, and he signed it on his label. So that was my first real single release.
So the first ever DENIZ, was it?
Yeah, it was already
name?
DENIZ KOYU, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. I don't know if you can ever find it anymore.
It's
it was
probably
only
on BEATPORT still.
no, it was only on vinyl.
Oh, okay.
At the time, it was only vinyl.
So maybe someone still has it back at home.
Maybe, yeah. I don't even know the time.
Do you have a copy?
I think I do, actually. Yeah, I do. And it's hidden away in the garage, but I still should have it.
Keep it. That's good memories.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
And then your next steps, like first release, probably still not making music for a living.
No way, far away from it. Yeah, far away.
What were your next steps, like production-wise, contact-wise?
Yeah, so this was the time when I started working in Cubase, and still really a lot of trial and error, still not knowing at all what I was doing. My mixes sounded terrible. I had no idea how to...
We've been all there. Like,
yeah, no idea how to create sounds or anything. I was just listening to a lot of different music. I was listening to mostly house music, but also trance and techno, anything that I could get my hands on, and listening to all these sounds. And I was always wondering, on basically every song I would listen to, I was wondering, how can I make this sound? How do they make it? And I just had to know. It was that feeling that you want to know how it's made. And that really drove me actually all the time. I wanted to know how these guys make it.
So just getting closer to the people you admired.
Exactly, yeah. Having idols, looking up to certain people and tracks. There was even no chance to even come close to anything on that level, but just to get an idea how these things were made was already very hard at the time. But okay, so from that guy I just told you about, the local resident DJ guy, I made my next step to a record label in Cologne in Germany.
Yeah.
Scream and Shout is their name. And
is it by Micha Moore? Is it his? Or he is part of the
He's part of it. Or not anymore, I think, but he used to be.
I remember still the green covers from...
Yeah, exactly. Then. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And Micha Moore is my good friend. Still today, we are good friends. And that was the time when I started meeting those guys. And then I put out a couple of very basic amateurish electro house songs on that label in the beginning, and also a couple of remixes. And I also worked with Micha Moore on music a little bit together. And this whole process that time took around 5 years to really slowly and painfully learn how to produce and mix. And but it was a nice environment because those guys were on a more professional level than anyone I had contact with before. So even though I didn't live in Cologne, I used to go there as much as I could,
Yes.
and you know, work in that studio that they had in that building, just to be around people that are trying to achieve the same thing as I. It's a great influence, and
I also remember they had like one big song.
Class. There was this guy Class
remix and stuff. Like this probably also helped all of you. Like if you're like a crew of people.
Yeah, totally.
And one of you has like this big thing. It was really big.
It was really big. Yeah, this guy Class was actually doing really well.
What was the name again of the song? There was like it was also a cover edit or like.
Well, Micha Moore had this
song.
It was I think was it Space. Micha Moore Space.
Yeah,
Space,
like
and then there was a Class remix that was amazing at the time.
This one was played by everyone.
Everyone played it. Yeah,
it was huge.
Everyone, and yeah, so that was a great environment to you know get an idea of how the professional industry works, and yeah, we also helped out each other to try and get better at production skills. So I was in that environment for around 5 years, and in 2010, I put out a song on Scream and Shout that was called Grunge. An EP, I think, was 2 songs, and one was called Grunge.
I can already imagine what it sounded like.
Yeah, it sounded like an the title
it was also the time back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything was like really electro, like
really electro. Exactly,
space.
exactly that kind of sound. Yeah. So I put out that song, and Federally Grand was the first of the big guys who noticed my sound, and that was a song that he really liked, and he played it for like 1 year in every set of his at his shows. And then his management reached out to Scream and Shout to get in touch, and they were asking about me and asking who is this guy who made this song. Fede likes it a lot, and is there a way to connect them? And when I heard that, and you know, Scream and Shout, those guys, they told me that they got that email from Federally Grand's management. You can imagine for somebody like me in that position, I was mind blown.
Yeah, because he was so huge, like
of course
still is,
still
but
is,
back then was like his peak, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. One of the top 10.
Yes.
Yeah, and also one of my, he still is, but especially at the time, one of my biggest idols. You know, and then it comes out of nowhere, and all of a sudden I would never expected this. I would just dream of something like this to happen. You know, one of those big idol guys is reaching out for you because he loves your song. That's really cool. And from that point on, that's where my career made really much bigger steps than in all those 10 years before. Basically,
I think this was like your not breakthrough, but like your breaking point where everything is easier, because you could just ask him to get you in touch with everyone.
Exactly, yeah. That's the point where things become easier, I guess, and just quicker and everything. Then, you know, your career just evolves much faster, and
probably
bigger
less
steps from
struggling.
that point. Yeah, things get much more exciting from a point after a point like this. But still, at that point, it was in 2010. I didn't have a big song yet, so it took. But it's from still, because when somebody like Fede reaches out to you, it's also an extra motivation to work even harder in the studio and come up. You're just, you know, it's like you have maybe a different energy in the studio, and it only took like I think half year after that, and then I came up with Tung, with that song idea, and I sent that to Fede, and I remember he responded like 20 minutes after I sent it to him. He sent me a text and he said, "Wow, this is amazing, crazy, and I want to sign it right away." And then he released it on his label Flamingo, and that was really the point where my career took off, because that was a big hit.
Everyone then knew who you are.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone played that song. Really, everyone in summer 2011, and that was the turning point for me.
So while we're already at it, let's maybe talk a little bit about the business side. Because, I mean, your story shows us you have to be active. You have to be active in the studio. You have to be active connecting, a little bit of luck. Is there anything you would like advise the producer that now starts what to do? Because a lot of ways are closed now. Like a lot of people rose to fame with like SoundCloud edits. That's not really working anymore. Spotify is now really big, but it's hard to get your song in there, and then people listen to your song on Spotify in the playlist, but they don't know who you are. What would be your advice? Let's say you had like a younger brother that now wants to be like the next EDM superstar. What should he do?
honestly, there are so many things that I would tell young producers to watch out for and keep in mind and be aware of before they burn their fingers, because there are so many things where you get screwed over in the music business and industry by people, bad people, unfortunately, and it happens way too often. But on the music side, on the content side, one thing that I can say always worked and it will always work is when you make your own sound, when you find your own sound. This is always the #1 thing. And I think when you find your own sound as a young producer that is on a high level, quality production level, and you're making something that is different, then it doesn't really matter if you put it out for free on SoundCloud, if you just post it on Instagram or whatever, it will find its way. But of course, still there are some ways that might take longer than others. So another thing that I always recommend is if you want to send out your first productions to a DJ, maybe that you look up to, that you have maybe an email address of or a label, make sure that the thing that you're sending out is really worth listening to. So because usually what can happen is that you only get one shot. And I would always give that advice to young producers is make sure that this one shot is really sitting well, and maybe try to first let some friends have a listen to your song, but it should be friends that are also have an ear maybe a little bit for this kind of music.
Maybe other producers.
Oh yeah, that would be ideal, but
because mom and dad won't tell you.
Yeah. Can't show it to your mom and dad except if you're working on a pop song maybe. But if it's just club music, try to find friends that listen to similar music and that you can show it to. That will be the first step, and then listen very critical to your own music and try to judge your own work in a like a fair, real way, and then compare to maybe your reference songs. That's another important thing. You should always have some reference songs where you say, okay, this is an amazing song of an artist that I look up to, and if I compare my song to this, where does it stand? If it's, I mean, you can't reach that level, of course, anytime soon, especially in the beginning. It's very, very hard, but you should try to make sure that it's at least maybe at 50% of the level of that song, maybe, before you want to send it out to a big label. Make sure that it sounds good,
and that
that
people listen to it and don't think like, what is it?
To some extent, exactly.
We got the music side covered. What's about the business side? So on the business side, also, I think, like I said, there are many things that young producers should watch out for and be aware of, because you'll burn your fingers if you're if you're not aware of certain things. And my #1 advice on the business side would be, when you get your first contract offered for anything, it could be just for a record deal or a bigger thing maybe, or some management deal, whatever it is, really read it carefully. And really make sure that you fully understand everything that's in it. And I would say, I would always actually suggest to give it to a lawyer. It's really important, because I can tell you from my experience, when I started, I signed my first contract when I was 20 years old, or 20 years, I think. I signed something where, #1, I was fully not aware of what was in that contract. And #2, I didn't honestly even care much, because I didn't have that perspective where I thought, I'm going to do this professionally. So when you're not in that mind state, when you think... You just take whatever.
You take it because it was a record deal, and I thought, oh, this is amazing. A record label wants to sign my song. Okay, what else do I want? Would I ever want? And I wasn't really having big ambitions or any plans or any perspective. And when you're in that mind state, then you don't take it as serious as you maybe should, because maybe in 2, 3, 4 years things will change, and then you will be very mad at yourself for some stupid thing that you signed. And
So how bad was the damage?
The damage was it was honestly not cool.
It's the nerves usually also.
It's something, because it gets expensive later on. That's the thing, it gets expensive, and then it's very upsetting, and it's something that after a while eventually you get over it, and you have to, because it's also not good if you keep holding a grudge.
Oh yeah,
against
it will
people,
cost you
and
even more.
yeah, it will cost your nerves, and it's just bad energy. So you should try to avoid that in that case. But as a young artist, this is the one thing that I would always recommend is, you know, when it comes to contracts, be very careful and find a lawyer that hopefully is not, you know, going to be too expensive. You can afford it in the beginning.
Or maybe a friend that is a lawyer.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Just someone that knows what's
yeah,
in there.
exactly. It's really, really important.
To the business side, like maybe just like the contact side, because like socializing in this business, I think in every business, but in this business especially, is so important. If you know the right people, you get gigs. If you know the right people, you get signed to a label. Are there any tips like how to approach people? Because there's some people they are studio nerds. They don't want to go outside, talk to people.
Yeah,
do they have to learn it?
Yeah, you do. I honestly used to be like that in the beginning. I thought it's a very important point, because I also thought that you have to achieve everything by yourself and there's nobody else who can help you. I was kind of like, you know, I thought I just have to figure it out all on my own. But it's the wrong approach. You have to try to be in touch with people and get in touch with as many people as you can, that you can hopefully learn something from. And, you know, it's just very important, because if you're just that nerd and just sitting in the studio, then you're losing out on a lot of opportunities. And I give you one example, maybe on the production side. Let's say you're trying to figure out a certain sound that you're trying to achieve, okay, and then maybe you could spend 5 years on trying to figure out how to make a certain song type, while maybe if one guy that has already figured it out would talk to you for 20 minutes, he will help you more than what you can figure out in 5 years. Sure. You know, there are certain things sometimes that can turn out to be like this, and then if you're aware of this from the beginning, it will help you a lot. So it's really important. Try to also work on your social skills and be out there and get in touch with people. I think there are a lot of the big DJs and the very successful people are actually always the ones who have great social skills also, and it's a big part of it. And definitely they had a lot of important points in their careers where they did benefit from vitamin B.
Yes,
you know, in one way or the other. Could be for the business side, or even for song productions and stuff, where it just helped to be around other people that can help. So it's really, really important.
So really just go out to clubs, watch other DJs, talk to them, try to get backstage, maybe open for them, this kind of stuff, probably at the very beginning.
Exactly. Those things definitely help. And what's important, I think, when you start talking to people is try to avoid a couple of basic mistakes. So what I wouldn't recommend not to do is when you walk up to your big DJ idol and say, "Hey, what's up? Here's my demo stick. Can you listen to it, please?"
Do you even listen to them? Because they might have viruses on it.
You know, you realize that when that's the approach, someone is hitting you up, then it's very boring, and it's you notice that person is really just hitting you up because he's trying to use you in a way. And that's like, I mean, you can do it that way. And I will take the USB stick, and maybe if I really have absolutely nothing to do at some point in 2 weeks, I will have a listen to it. But you could do it in a smarter way. So you should try to show that you have a certain connection to the artist you're talking to, that it's not a random thing that you're giving this guy a USB stick, but that you're giving your USB stick to this guy because you really have a connection to him. And maybe it could be small little things, maybe just if that guy played a show just before, maybe first talk about that a little bit. Maybe, say something about the set he played and show him that you actually listened. And that's how you will get his attention a bit more. Like, don't make it just about your USB stick that you're trying to hand him over.
So maybe like trying to have like a 1-2 minute conversation.
So
that you also remember this guy maybe again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, make it personal. That's important. Try to make it a bit more personal, something with more substance. That's
because I'm sure like a lot of people approach you maybe even while you're DJing, which you should never ever do.
Yeah, I get demos from dubstep guys, for example, or it's completely different genres and then I wonder why. I mean, I can listen to it, of course, but I just wonder, it doesn't really fit. So what is this way of thinking? Why, and then you realize that it's just random, and then Yeah.
CC in the email.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
100,000 people.
30 guys, 40 guys, 50 guys.
Those are like the basic mistakes whenever you send out demos.
Yeah, try to avoid those.
While we're at it, like sending out demos, probably best email, or like use whatever's on the website.
Yeah, if you honestly, I mean, these days it's so easy to get in touch with artists directly. It used to be so hard when you compare to 10 years ago. Today you can just try to DM on Instagram anyone, and I, for example, always check my messages, and I do respond to people.
Be careful of what you're saying. You will get a lot of DMs now.
Yeah, but it's cool. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you have time on the plane,
yeah, you always,
like waiting
for
something.
Everyone has some free time here and there to be able to communicate to people.
Yeah.
And I think still, no matter where you're at as an artist, it's also really important to keep in touch with your fan base. And it's great that you have those tools to be able to communicate with people. So you should use it. And then for people trying to reach out, that's also cool because there are those options and you can reach out. But same thing here. I get those DMs, for example, on Instagram all the time where people just send out these messages where this is a mass written text, copy and paste. Just, hey, what's up? Here's my new song, SoundCloud link. Could you please send me feedback? And that's it. And I never listen to those because it's completely random, nothing personal at all. It's it's not fun. But if someone reaches out and has something to say, something personal, something where you realize, that guy is actually a fan, then I do listen, and then it's nice to talk to people like those that actually care.
So now you got all of the tips how to start a DJ career, get through this entire mess of a DJ career, send out demos. I think we got everything covered.
I guess, yeah.
What's like next for you? Like the next big shows, the next release?
Yeah, I have my next release in January next year, January 14th on Spinnin again.
Okay.
And it's the follow-up for my previous Spinnin release, which was Atlantis. It's a progressive house song, and I think it sounds great. I'm really happy with that one, and excited for the release. That's that one, and then I'm right now working on a lot of other music too, not just for Spinnin, but also other labels and some collaborations and stuff. So early next year, I'm going to put out a lot of music and also playing shows.
Of course.
Yeah, so on Thursday, I'm leaving to China again for a tour, playing one festival show and 2 or 3 club shows. And then coming back December.
Busy.
Yeah.
Are there any plans like to kind of grow even more as an artist? Maybe label wise? Building up the next generation, maybe?
Of course, yes. I mean, I still feel like I'm very much at the beginning of things that I like to achieve.
You climb a little in the DJ Mix Top 100.
Of course. Yeah, you are ambitious, of course, as an artist, and you want to keep growing and have more goals. It's very important to have goals and plans and ideas. So label is a good point. I always wanted to start my own label.
I was wondering that you don't have a label.
Yeah. I always wanted to, but I'm still waiting for the right time for it. So because when I want to do it, I want to do it the right way, and not just create a label because I feel like maybe other labels wouldn't take my music. So this is just a way to put out music because, not like this. I would want to make it as a cool platform that stands for a certain sound and a certain brand and a certain look, and is also a platform for other artists to...
Yeah, I think that's important.
To put out music and... just make it an interesting, cool platform, and not just a tool for me to put out music because others wouldn't take my music.
It should never be about that. I think the approach, like really the next generation, or maybe friends of yours that make cool sounds, like to have a platform for them that you can control.
Exactly, yeah. But at the moment, every time I finish the song, like I told you in the beginning, I listen to the song and I want to make sure that it has the right home. And then I always feel like, okay, this song will fit really great on that label or on that label. And I still haven't, I didn't get to that point where I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to start my own label and really get it going. For now, I still want to use the big networks of the labels that they have, which is also great always to promote your own songs, of course. So
there's no name planned yet, nothing.
No name
it's just
planned.
like an idea in
it's
your
just,
head.
I know I will do it someday, but I still have no concrete plans when and how. And
Okay.
yeah, but it will come someday.
We will wait for that.
Yeah.
It would be exciting to see what kind of sound, which direction.
Yeah.
And like just putting out new stuff and new talents.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you very, very much for this very extended, long, interesting interview.
Sure, yeah.
Really deep and honest. That's what we really like. And yeah, I think we might see us the next time at one of your shows.
Hopefully, yeah. You should. I'm playing at Bootshaus on December 6th with Tiesto. That's one.
Oh, with Tiesto?
With Tiesto, yeah.
Could you maybe hook me up with Tiesto for an interview?
I can try, yeah.
He's hard to get, but maybe with you connect. You see, that's how it goes. You connect with one guy and...
There you go. That's networking.
That's networking. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Of course, you're welcome.
We will keep on exploring the studio and maybe listen to some music.
Yes, definitely. Sure.
So that was it. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to check out the socials of Koyu. They're all linked down below in the description. And the gig we were talking about with Tiesto, this is already in the past. I will link it up here. There's an entire video, me and the entire team going there and checking out Tiesto playing live. And don't forget to subscribe. There's a new video coming out every single day. And the interviews with Kungs, Hugel, and Kirby are coming up next.